So, Gudmundur, thank you very much. That was extremely interesting from a practitioner's view. And what I noted here, at least for me, was something which was already mentioned this morning by Ray Hilborn, and that is the striking difference between the seas and the land. You know, there is no United Nations law of the sea corresponding law of the land existing. It's quite interesting because the ownership is completely different. And that is highly, highly interesting what kind of consequences that has. And I'm also quite struck about your remarks on the so-called fishing pressure, how that is influencing a national sovereignty activity and also a national economy. And that you had as a way out, you know, adding value, which you described very well. And in this context, I'm going later on in our panel to put a question to all of you. Why is there not a really comprehensive biorefinery based on fish waste? Why is it not existing? Because there are so many values in that. You know, you have it for many, many other purposes, but not for aquatic biomass, and I don't understand why, but that is up to our discussion later on. We now come to the first practical case of a grand ocean state, which in reality is a small island group, and that is Cabo Verde. And I'm very, very curious on the statement of Carlos Evora Rocha. He is the director, I hope I translate it well, in the Ministry of Maritime and Maritime Economy in Cabo Verde. And I'm very happy that we have him here and that he gives us now a talk on some areas where you normally only know it for its music and for tourism. So, Carlos, muito obrigado, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I want to thank the organizers for the invitation and to allow me to have the floor in this conference. I am going to speak about the Cape Verdean policy on fisheries, on ocean, and about the sustainable development on blue growth and blue economy. We are on the West Africa. Cape Verde is a small country, a large ocean state that is located not far from Senegal, about 450 kilometers. This is Cape Verde, this is Senegal, and those are the islands. We have about 10 islands. We are 10 islands and 8 islets. Because of our location in the Sahel zone, Cape Verde is very vulnerable to climate change. But it's, as said our previous presenter, Cape Verde is a large ocean blue state. The population of Cape Verde in 2010 was about 500,000 inhabitants. But we have immigrants spread all around the world, mainly in Europe, Americas, and Africa, that has a number that surpass the people living in the islands. The main pillar of economic development is the provision of service that represents 80% of gross domestic product. The tourism of sun and sea is one of the bases of the economical increase of the islands. We export seafood, canned and frozen fish, And in the recent years, it have grown steadily, and we reached 43,000 tons in 2016. The government of Cape Verde have adopted a strategy of development that privileges the blue growth and economy. This is a pragmatic approach based on the health of the ecosystems. It's embodied in the possibility of using scientific knowledge, and it's a new paradigm in the path of the sustainable economic development. We committed to make the exploitation of the marine and maritime resources profitable, having the scientific research on fisheries, oceanography, aquaculture, coastal and maritime tourism as areas that will contribute to create thousands of jobs. In this sense, we note that the blue growth and economy adopted by the FAO in 2014 emphasized the connection between the ecological systems of the ocean and the human activities that occur in, or interact in the oceans. We recognize that some activities in the ocean economy depend on marine ecological systems and provide a vision through which one measures, identifies, and encourages opportunities to take benefits to the whole, both for the ocean. It's in this perspective, the government of Cape Verde approved a blue growth letter, was in 2015. It aims to promote the sustainable development of oceanic and coastal areas, minimize the degradation and loss of biodiversity and no durable of marine resource, and maximization of economic social benefits of the population. Our activities, main activities that we have in the blue growth and economy, in two of these, we can generate some outputs. The outputs are fishing and fishing industries, maritime biotechnology, energy, transport and trade, coastal tourism, carbon sequestration, coastal protection, garbage and debris, and biodiversity. We are always applying the principle of being aware about this problem of the health of the ocean. And with all this has to do with the living, non-living resources and ecosystems and ecological process in interaction with economic activity, and allow us to calculate the net value for the society of the ocean management. That will be consistent with the notion of economy, where flows of materials for industry have an aggregating effect derived from the blue economy. Thus, the letter for blue economy of Cape Verde presents strategic options, areas such as fisheries and aquaculture, trade, food, and so on. And those, we had been inspired by many events that occurred in the world. First was the Samoa Conference on Small Island States that held in September 2014, and declared the ocean and the seas as well as coastal areas as an essential components of the Earth ecosystem. And therefore, developed this concept of blue economy since 2014. And along this path, the Ministerial Dialogue Conference on Blue Growth and the Blue Economy, sharing perspective and experience for Africa, was held in Mindelo, São Vicente, Cape Verde, on May this year. And the 9th May of these years, we adopted in Mindelo a declaration that recognizes the ocean and seas have an important social, economic, and environmental role, affirming the need for action to achieve the goals, the development goals, and the conference recognized the declaration of the Conference of Ministers of Foreign Affairs and small island states and Madagascar which took part in Praia on December last year. Was very important because the declaration emphasized the need to promote blue growth and economy and the need for participation, for effective participation and contribution of the countries to the United Nations Conference of the Oceans that had been held in the United States, New York on June this year. The government of Cape Verde, which is in this sense has a clear vision and policies regarding the maintenance of the health of the ocean, adopted the economic exclusive zone of Cape Verde that has more than 100,000 square kilometers. That is 200 times superior than our territorial area, land, due of this fact, Cape Verde is a large ocean state. In this policy, we promote the protection of the environment, the sustainable tourism through durable use of coastal zones, the food security, including fisheries, aquaculture, and processing as essential elements of development, the research as a privilege to study of the oceans, biodiversity, marine ecosystems in interaction, including, in this case, the School of the Sea, Cape Verde School of the Sea, the National Institute of Fisheries Development, and the Oceanography Center of Cape Verde, all based in Mindelo, São Vicente, as the most important island for fishing. We do a policy for renewable clean energy directly linked to the use of the wave movements to produce electricity. And we adopt for sustainable management of fisheries a 2-year fisheries management plan that are determinants of fisheries management and contain measures to prevent overfishing and recognize measures of protection to access to such resources, and the extension of the continental shelf. It's a dossier that we prepare with the support of our partners, indeed, we had the support of Norway in this matter, and we submitted to the United Nations in 2014 our technical papers to extend the continental shelf. We have some challenges. It should be noted that we are facing important challenges in this process of transition of growth, of blue growth and economy. So it's necessary to carry out large investments in order to win the transition battle. We are in the process of transition to the blue growth and the blue economy. We are putting in service of sustainable development of fishing communities, food security and job creation based in improved livelihoods, ecosystem resilience, and population income. In this sense, the government of Cape Verde negotiated with the African Development Bank an important technical support project for blue growth and blue economy. The amount of the first phase of financement is $1.4 million. It aims to prepare proposals for the framework of reforms and investments to reduce poverty and the social inequalities through the sustainable exploitation of oceanic and coastal resources and the diversity of the pillars of blue and blue growth and the blue economy. Then, we, in this case, wanted to consolidate the national blue growth and economy strategy to make the necessary institutional adjustments, to develop the national investment plan in favor to blue growth and economy, and to prepare priority program for promotion of blue growth and economy, which includes strengthening national capacities. As conclusion, we must say that this constitutes our commitment and the new paradigm in view of sustainable use and the exploitation of the resources of the ocean. And Cape Verde's archipelago and large ocean state intends to accomplish to overcome the challenges of transition to growth and blue economy, understood as sustainable growth of the economic activities generated by the oceans, minimizing the environmental degradation, the loss of biodiversity, and maximizing the economic and social benefits. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.